You can take over now. It's okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. This is Dr. Stellah on the stage. And we are having our technical lead is this evening is called David. The coordinator is Raymond. And the founder of Aid Africa is Aurelia. We are glad to have you on board this evening. And so our sign language interpreter is Joyce Wangari, and I welcome everybody to this meeting this evening. Sana. So we make sure all to avoid the background sound. So I think welcome everyone. We can continue. So you might not hear what we are. The whole topic is about disability and the law by N'kadziri Idd. So the main thing is Wangari will interpret what she'll be talking about. Of SCPS CBO that advocates for rights of children and youth with disability. She's a consultant, a sign language interpreter in the legal advocacy and education sector. And she's so much interested on the disability and the she's a student at Quartz and worked at the University of Nairobi. The disability maiden. She is a researcher, a deaf advocate. Sorry, admitted myself. I'd not admitted myself. I was introducing Edie. Hello? Hello?
We can hear you.
Yes.
Not very steady.
Did you get me? Sorry, I thought I found like I'd already admitted myself. So I've already introduced Edie. She's so much of concern about the law of Kenya, how it is applied in the context of people able differently, that is the disability people. So welcome on board. Feel free to discuss. And yes, karibu sana.
Thank you, Angie. I really appreciate for the warm introduction. I'm sorry you are still on your way home.
Yeah, and actually in emergency, I'm so sorry. That is why I left in 8. And this is Dr. Stellah. I'm using my sister's laptop.
Thank you. Today, basically, we are going to talk about disability and the law. Joyce, maybe you can put up our screen. Joyce, thank you. As the screen gets set up, I would really like to appreciate everyone for finding their time to come and join me as we have this interesting discussion on how the law in Kenya is applied on matters on persons with disabilities. And it is I'm really humbled to be given this chance to say what is so dear into my heart. From the brief introduction you've had, I am born and a part of the Disability Network, and I'm proud to be brought up by that family. It's a great one. And that was my desire as I was growing up, to get to know what affects them. Because when I was a kid, I would hear them talking about it and they're like, haki yetu hatujafanyiwa hivi, and I'm like, okay, I'll have to go to school, get to learn about it so that I get to know what is there and what is not there. Next slide. With my biasness on disability, I chose to say hello in sign language so you can guess which kind of disability group that brought me up. Yeah, the next one. Okay. Before we start us off, we have to know what disability is and what the law is. And in the Kenyan context, we have taken the medical model on disability, whereby in the Persons with Disability Act, it states on the physical, sensory, the mental, and any other impairment. However, we have got two different ways of defining disability. I didn't choose the other one, although it is mostly appreciated because it talks about the social model on disability. Basically emphasizes on how the society itself can make someone disabled. However, in our Kenyan context, in the Persons with Disability Act, Article 2, it takes the medical point of view on defining who a person with disability is. Then when you get to law, basically they're the rules that are recognized and they are set. And where there is a rule, we have to get someone who governs what these rules, such that when we are in misconduct of the rules, at least there's a sanction for it or something to follow up and say, this rule has not been done. And that is where the two merge in, that we have the laws and how do they come in, these rules, how do they come in so that they get in line to make the life of persons with disability in Kenya better. And now, for starters, I come from a very positive side of viewing things. And when I look at Kenya, actually we are proud that Kenya is among the first countries that incorporated the Convention on Rights of Persons with Disability in 2008. And it's a plus for us because through that, we were able actually to appreciate the natural law, because the natural law states that our human rights are inherent in us, that nobody can actually take away those rights from us. So by us accepting the CRPD, Kenya actually has gone a step forth on that. And secondly, our constitution as well, apart from just domesticating the international convention, we have actually made it as part of our domestic law in the Kenyan constitution and Article 54. And further still, we have actually even made a legislation in Kenya that is called the Persons with Disabilities Act 2003. And this law, actually right now there is a bill on it called the Persons with Disability Bill 2015 that is waiting to be assented with amendments. And also another interesting thing, actually, it is on our political representation. Right now, actually, it is more visible that in our laws, we actually get to appreciate that persons with disability can stand and air out their views, for they say, there is nothing for us without us. And we are happy that they hearkened actually to this call. That is why we have got the 5% representation, although it is jangled up with the women, the youth, and persons with disability. Despite it being together, we still appreciate that at least we have got some representation. And we can see actually we have a Senator, Isaac Mwaura, who has been there actually for 2 terms on advocating on matters of persons with disability. However, on the other flip side of the coin, at times we wonder, okay, there's a requirement that it has to be done, but the criteria of us doing it now on the other side of the law on implementing it, it is not spelled out and say that from this 5%, I can say I'll choose the woman and the youth, and I leave off someone with a disability, and no one will question that political party. So it's a bit silent on to be very specific on who and how a person with disability can be chosen single-handedly. But with the amendments that are coming up, there is a criteria that can show how and to give political parties an ultimatum that they have to appoint or select someone who has a disability, regardless of whether they still have a position for the youth and the women. And we can also see on our slide, we are seeing something. I don't want to talk alone. I don't know who can tell us what we can see on the slide. Anything that we can see from the slide? Yes? Am I talking alone?
Hello? Hello?
We are listening, Edie. We are listening. I can see people are keenly following what you're saying. I can even
Hello?
see on the chat. So you can continue and then we can ask questions later.
Political representations.
Okay. Actually, there is a sign for help whereby actually we are saying persons with disability themselves, they can stand out for themselves apart from asking for that help that we are used to doing. Then on the next slide, we are going to talk about accessibility. And we can see in that photo, there's an interesting photo of a matatu. And I wished if someone could actually tell me, instead of me talking alone, I would like it to be more interactive, because at least to turn the gist on the low end, what is there for us.
Who can say?
You can't see it.
There's a picture there which is of a matatu. Who can say what that is?
Somebody is assisting the person. Hello?
Wow, thank you.
Hello, the vehicle is not
somebody assisting a person.
Hello? There is a person being assisted. The vehicle is not adapted to meet the need of the person with the disability.
Yeah, indeed, that is true. And also we have another one, someone on a wheelchair. We have got someone also on a wheelchair trying to actually go up the ramp. And so we have got various forms of access.
Anybody else? What are you saying in that picture?
Okay.
A lady is trying to go up the ramp.
Wow. Thank you, Isaac.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the feedback. Okay. And thank you also, Anne. There is someone who's raising the hand.
Yes, Edie N'kadziri, I wanted to mention that at Matatu conductor is
Unmute yourself on top,
struggling to have a disabled person take a front seat in a Matatu. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Indeed, we are seeing, but apart from us seeing what is happening, actually we have laws in Kenya that talk on this. And actually we are told that we are entitled actually to be accessible on public transport and information. However, the picture in the Matatu is one thing. I don't know whether we are implementing it or not, but at least we should know it is there. And also, accessibility is not only about transport and work, also accessibility is on communication, whereby we are entitled actually to have a sign language interpreter, to have Braille while communicating. And also, during workplace, we should have like the 5% persons with disability to go to their workplaces. And it can only be done when we actually implement the laws that are there. So those who are doing advocacy, at least we are seeing we have the laws. So one time we Matatu. What's happening? We can hold them accountable because it is there in the law of Kenya. Okay? Yes. Jace?
Sorry, I think my screen froze, so I'm just trying to see if it will move. Let me see. Maybe I stop share and then I try again. My screen just froze. Give me a minute.
Can I help you so that you get interpreting to save on you?
Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, but I'm back. Can you see
You're
it
back,
now?
okay, fine.
Yeah, yeah, my screen had frozen. So
okay.
Please mute yourself if you're not talking. If you can share from your end, that will be much better. N'kadziri, I think my screen has frozen again.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
let me do that.
Yeah, you can do that. My screen refused. Okay, so just share from your side, please.
Is it on? I don't know. Is it okay?
Not yet. It usually takes a few minutes, so let's wait and see if it will come.
Okay.
If you've said share screen, then it should come.
It's now better, I believe.
Not yet. I think maybe your internet is also slow. My internet also did go slow, but I can try again on my side now. If your side is still a problem. When the internet is busy, it does that. So let me see. Let me stop share, then I try to share.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
I've stopped.
All right, let me share now. If you can see, then you can proceed. Let's see. I don't know what this is about. Slideshow. Yeah, so just
we are now moving on to health. Let us get to see like what is provided for us in health. And basically, I didn't want actually to go through everything that is there. I just wanted to mention, as we look on the realities that are happening, then we get to know what is actually there. That is why I had actually wanted for it to be more interactive than a one ladies show. Yes. And with that, actually, I just wanted us to look at the pictures that are there, and we get to discuss. We can talk, or you can type on your screen what you can see from those three pictures. A quick one. Yes.
I can see a man helping a lady on a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. Someone else? Can also text.
You can text and you can share. You can raise your hand and mute yourself,
Oscar,
and then see what you're saying.
Oscar's hand
Hello.
is raised.
Yeah, my hand is up. I wanted to contribute on the concerning the that photo on the right hand side. The photo bearing the logo of Citizen TV. But by the look of it, maybe this guy is talking, but I'm now at a loss because there seems to be no interpreter there. So the people who are hearing impaired or the deaf, actually they can miss a lot of information. In as much as there are writings on the wall, the guy seems to be explaining something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, I'll talk on the photos, and then I'll just mention a few of what is there because I'll share the slides with you later. Actually, right now with the current Jubilee government, we are going on the universal healthcare for all. And now we can see the three photos actually. One is someone going to hospital on wheelchair. And at times you look at our hospitals, are they really accessible? It goes back to the previous slide on accessibility. Apart from us being entitled on our right to health, because everyone is guaranteed on their right to health. And then right now with this current pandemic on coronavirus, we can see someone going to quarantine. And you can imagine this person who is deaf being taken to quarantine, no one to talk to. You're stressed actually because of what is happening to you. You have no one to talk to. You get issues with your mental health as well, just because of the added, because of you having a disability, you get an added burden or weight on you. Someone in a wheelchair, you need someone to push you around. You are left alone, isolated, because you are being quarantined. The mobility issue. And then on the photo on the man at Citizen TV, actually, it is a plus for us. To me, actually, I came to see the laws and the pluses that you've done so that we can see what more we can do. Because many are times that we assume there is nothing that is there for persons with disability. There are so many assumptions that the government is not doing enough. Nobody is doing enough. We have got no laws or regulations, but they are there. However, those implementing, those on the watch out to see how they are being implemented, who is implementing, brings in the gap. Like this gentleman on...
Hello, please mute yourself if you're not.
Thank you. Like this gentleman on Citizen TV, actually there was a medical camp that they were given the hand. They were given the hand. And so with that, actually he can do so much for himself. However, there is just one clause that I'm displayed on the screen that I would like to mention. The rest, I won't dwell on them. The one that says we have actually a right for early identification. Actually, with this law, it really handicaps us as Kenyans. We don't know that right, actually, that we can prevent a disability. Whereby when a lady actually conceives, they have a right to be examined so that if they see your child has a disability, you get prepared from the onset in case of an accident, and maybe you get a quick or early medical attention. You are able to prevent actually the disability that you may acquire. So we have actually a right for that, and also to get rehabilitation. And this issue on early identification actually is a big throwback, because with early identification, we can reduce the rising cases on persons with disability. Because with how things are going, us being ignorant of—
Idd, we are losing you. Am I the only one losing you?
I'm not clear.
Your internet is weak, Dr. Stellah, but we can all hear N'kadziri. So she can go on.
Are we following?
Okay.
Yes, we can all hear the presenter. I think it's your internet, Dr. Stellah, that is weak, but we can hear the presenter.
Okay. Thank you.
So I would like actually we get to stand out, get to see all children actually get immunization, go to hospital and get their early identification, because it is provided for you. For example, we have the EACS, the early assessment centers, whereby we all go for assessments on various disabilities to get and see whether you have a disability, whether it can be treated, and at which level it is. And the other thing that actually I wanted to talk about in red is on the free medical services. I know persons with disabilities are not an exception. We are all Kenyans, though it is provided for us. However, right now, the government actually is trying to get like sign language interpreters in hospital, at least someone to help push a wheelchair. And we can see right now most hospitals are actually getting ramps. So we are entitled to that as it is in the law. So in case you have an issue on that, you are free to go to the National Council for Persons with Disability, because they are the ones who have been mandated by the law to implement these laws that are set out. And our biggest challenge is on implementation and who to look out for. And also organizations that advocate for these rights. They have a standing, they have a ground they can take and say, this is stated and we are not being provided for. We move on to education. And education is actually,
just before you move on to education, there's some questions which are on the chat. So I don't know whether you finish first.
There's no problem, we can answer. I can answer as I go on.
I think you could finish first the session, so that the flow is maintained, and then we can ask questions after.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Aurelia, for the guidance. When you move on to education, actually in our Constitution of Kenya, all children actually are entitled to the basic education. And for Kenya, actually it is a plus also for us, because under the Ministry of Education, we have got the special needs.
Okay.
We have got the special needs policy that specifically focuses on matters that affect learners have disabilities. However, these terminologies actually we get confusing them, like calling someone a disabled person, which is the right terminology. It's a person with disability. And now when we get to education sector, they get to define them in different ways, like a learner with a special need, because not all needs, you don't have to have a disability for you to have a need. For example, some people have got the learning disabilities. That is why they're all catered in as learners with special needs. And for the learners with special needs, actually, being recognized and their specific needs actually being put in and outlined is a plus also for the Kenyan child who has a disability. And that is why we as Kenyans are entitled to go and ask. Our law says that our learner who has disability shouldn't stay at home, but should come to school, to a learning institution in account of their special need. It doesn't mean that this learner must get to write 1 to 100. This learner has entitled to a learning institution whereby it will identify the need of the learner. After identifying the need of the learner, they will get to give the learner what he requires. For example, a learner who has got maybe like a mental disability, we call it intellectual disability. This learner is entitled to learn like any other learner who has no, because learning not only about reading and writing. There is more that entails to learning. So let us all take our learners, those that you see with any kind of disability, because it is covered in for them under the education policy. The Ministry of Education has the special needs policy. We have got the Person with Disability Act, and to cap it all, our Constitution of Kenya says that all learners must have their basic education. And then when we move on to our courts, the judiciary, it also covers on the needs of persons with disability. Since actually it really says that we all have our rights, we have rights to be listened to articulate our issues, and to also access the justice that we need. Therefore, if a person who has a disability has been deprived of any rights or feels like he has to go and claim on something, they have a right to do so. And actually, we are proud that this has been actually made a reality, like in the Succession Act and our succession laws. Persons with disability and women are actually entitled also to be a part of inheritance in our families. And also, this person who has a disability also has a right to be represented. And if they don't have a way to represent themselves legally, the National Council for Persons with Disability, under the PWD Act, actually, they are mandated to go to them, ask for counsel, and say that they have a case, they have a matter in court, they cannot afford their own representation, and therefore, they will look for a way that they can be represented in court. And also, we have various organizations that work for and advocate for rights of persons with disabilities. When they get to hear their matter, they can also advocate for it to proceed on to court. However, so many persons who have disabilities, they tend to assume that the law is silent on them, but it's not true. They also have rights like any other person. They have a right to report a matter in court, to get to be heard, and to proceed on with the matter in court. And it is very sad actually that we as members of the society at times look at the matters affecting them and they're like, okay, you don't have to go to court. We can talk about it. It is okay. You are of lesser status than us, which is painful and not true. if any case someone is found maybe like trying to suppress a need of a person with disability, for example, on a matter of rape, maybe we have a child who has been raped or defiled, then you as a parent get to agree with the perpetrator, and later on it is discovered, you as the parent or the guardian and the perpetrator will be held liable because the right of this child has been infringed, because this child is just like any other child. This woman, this man, because mostly we get to the other side and we're like, okay, our rights, haki ya wanawake, now kuna ya wanaume, but you always forget this other part. In between those women, in those men, we have got those who have disabilities, and they really suffer because they have got no one to talk to on their disability, because they're like, okay, you look at me as a person who has a disability, so it's okay, everyone will see like I'm the one on the wrong. However, let us all get to see that they too can get to stand out for their rights, and anyone who has a disability can actually come up with a matter, and they have a right to be heard, to be listened to. If it's a deaf person, they are entitled to a professional sign language interpreter, unlike what happens at times, whereby they can even call your parent to write or to try and do some signs, but not really understandable signs. However, we still appreciate that the judiciary has done a plus. It has tried to employ sign language interpreters in court, at least who are professionals. Despite that, there is a gap in our Kenyan system. It is a bit wanting that we would like maybe if the judiciary could actually do a training on sign language interpreters on legal matters, because normally interpretation in Kenya, it is just done generally in all fields and sectors. But when it gets actually to be more systematic and flowing, actually all these other issues could be easily sorted on. Then on the next slide, it's a good thing for us that all of us have something to do. We have got something to say, and that is on advocacy. Let us not look at it like, okay, it's their world, they can do it. No. As long as we get to understand what the law tells us, we have a backing. It won't be like business as usual. Okay, we are complaining, they will hear or we'll get done with it. No. As long as you know your complaint is valid and stipulated in the law, you can advocate for that right. You can stand in and question those who are supposed to implement what is supposed to be done. And in that way, a person who has a disability will enjoy and feel like is a part of Kenya that we will build together, rather than being pulled to be a part of Kenya. And proceeding on, I have got some pictures there, very beautiful ones. And with this slide, I don't want to talk much about them. I would like us to text, to raise our hands, someone to just tell us what they can identify on those pictures. Because for us, apart from the laws that are there, what we didn't know, what we now know, somebody and someone has been doing something, and we ought to celebrate it. And that is the beauty of advocacy. When we celebrate it, it will no longer be advocacy. It will be, we have done it, we have won it. Raise your hands, type in, let us see what you can see on your screen.
Wow, that is very nice. I'm sure we are learning a lot, guys. You can raise your hand, you can do a chat, and you can also say what is you are seeing on the pictures. That's a lot of information on disability and law. Much of the things we didn't know. Thank you,
Isaac
Edie.
has raised his hand. Isaac Warambo. And a few more people, please check on their list.
You can chat, you can raise your hand. You can see Isaac. Isaac, you can unmute yourself. Unmute yourself and talk.
I can see Kenyans running a marathon. And I can also see a lady in an office. And I also see another man on TV on a marathon. I think he was running a marathon. And I also see another picture in language interpreter. Yeah.
Collins has also
Wow. It's
raised his hand.
Yeah, there's
So,
Collins on.
yeah, now
Thank you, Isaac Warambo.
Yeah, I'm going to voice for Collins. He says, okay. I can see a lady who's deaf. Sorry, I'm trying to look for, oh my goodness. I can see also there is there's a place for interpretation of news. That is a big advancement. I can see athletics, deaf athletes there. That is very nice.
Oh, thank you, Joyce. Thank you so much. What else are you saying, guys? You can raise your hand, you can chat. Let's say what we are seeing on these pictures as we learn. Mary Kimani, thank you. You can unmute yourself.
I just didn't see deaf athletics. I saw deaf athletics that has really conquered this world. Yet, I am sad to say that their wishes, their whatever, I think the lady who was speaking quoted something to the effect that there is nothing for us without us. The deaf athletes are busy conquering the world and showing what they are made of. They have struggled from the grassroots. They have taken us to the international circuit. Yet, as we speak right now, 2 government agencies that deal with sports, Sports Kenya, Sports Academy, do not represent them. Yet there's a law. It's been there since 2013. When it's time to appoint, they are quietly ignored. They are not heard. What do we do about it? Do we just keep quiet and let them keep struggling from the grassroots, taking us right top of the world, and we do nothing about it? Maybe I was hoping that in this forum would be talking in terms of, like the lady who spoke and she said implementation is the problem. Isn't it now time to actually say, fine, the laws are there. They are not being implemented. Join hands, figure out what needs to be done. Do we need judicial reviews? I don't remember that the judicial review courts are unhappy to interpret these laws and give Kenyans their due. And I think disability needs to go and fetch its dues in whichever manner, whether we speak nicely, softly, and gently, advocate for the rights, or go to the courts and, place the laws and say, it is time, just give us, because yes, they are struggling out there and getting up there, but at what cost? Why should training that should come to them not get to them? Why should their voice not be heard when the law has actually given them that position? So I'm hoping that at the end game of this conversation is to actually act on some of these low-lying fruits. I call them low-lying because they already are there. It's just a matter of, pushing, getting out there and telling the story in the right place where the judge can then apige ile fimbo yake aseme sawa, patia yeye haki yake. Those, I think, are my contributions, because I just don't want to see this picture. I know where these athletes are coming from. I'm a sports administrator. I know how hard they work to just get on that picture. And, you know, they are cheering and we are wearing our national colors and we are all feeling very Kenyan because these athletes have done us proud. Where they come from is hard business. And I think it is time for them to not have to sweat harder than any other Kenyans. They are Kenyans just like every other Kenyans. It should be equally, and probably even more for the disabled person, because they struggle way harder. They have to use much more than I, as able-bodied, have to use. So I hope at the end game of this conversation, we probably can go there.
Oh, wow, that's an awesome concern from Mary Kimani. How do we activate our laws to become active instead of lying there? What we do? How do we voice our voice out to make this active? That's a good concern. What do we do? Do we sit there and start complaining? What do we do about it? How do we make them, when we see our people presenting us outside there, who can hold their hands and work with them? A very good concern from Mary. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you for that. We can just keep on texting as I comment on that, and also I say, for me, the basic reason why I did this presentation, people complain without knowing we have got laws in place for them. That is the first thing. So we have to be empowered and know laws are there for us. That is the first thing. Then the second thing is to get to know that with our laws, we are now empowered and mandated now to use what we have to advocate for it in two different ways. You can advocate it through talking it out or through the court system. For example, the court you're talking about our sports and athletics. Actually, when you get to use the clause, all persons are entitled, actually, we are all entitled, whether we have a disability or not. So when we get to our representation in Kenya, we will say we are part of this representation. So we are entitled to what we have been deprived of. When we get to state what we've been deprived of, we have a strong backing on what we are lacking on as cited by the law. And another interesting thing that is on this photo also, I said today, I wanted us to know our laws and also to get to also appreciate what some of the things the law has done. Because mostly we lament on what has not been done, but something also has been done. For example, this lady seated at the East African Parliament, she's called Michael Ashura. She's a lady, deaf, and a youth. Actually, she got all the three representation, and we are proud of her at all angles, as a lady, as a youth, and as a person with disability. With her being there in the East African Parliament, it means that persons with disability have a ground to do what they can do with the right qualifications, without favors, or just being told, because I have a disability, I can do it. But they can go to school, they are capable, and they're up to the task as any other person. These are the photo of a girl who is trying to act. It means persons with disability have talents. They can do it. And it is not up to us to say that we can do it, but we don't have a way. Let us do it, let us show it, and advocate, fight for it when we have something to show. That lady, actually, she's called Fidelis. She's actually acting a script on sexual reproductive health rights, whereby it has come up after development of an app, a mobile app, of which I'm proud to be part of it. And that is why I say, like, let us stand and start by saying, I have done this, I can do this, and now we need this from you also as the government, as the law of Kenya. So that is an app that was developed on sexual reproductive health rights, because we realized we talk so much on media about early pregnancies, abortion, and we forget we also have a deaf teenager, a deaf youth, who is also going through the same thing and never gets to hear of anything. And that is where the movie came in from. It is called City Girl, and we really appreciate that it has a project of persons with disabilities. The people behind the crew had different disabilities. Those who were acting had the deafness as their disability. And also this other picture that really made me happy is this gentleman, Roy. He has no disability. He didn't wait to sit and hear what is happening. Our law says we should have accessibility. However, he felt to his heart, he has a niece who is deaf. He can't talk to him, but really wants to talk to the niece. So what did he do? He did use his innovation to come up with a glove. The only thing that we'll say is how far it can go. So this is a point whereby we pull in other sectors who can be friends and part of the disability fraternity. That despite the laws being there, despite people inventing things, despite our successes, we also need hands for us to be visible, to be seen, and that way our laws actually will be even more stronger, that someone can ask somebody else, hey, there's something that has not been done that should be done. And now, as I proceed on, I might be ending my presentation. However, for me, it is not an end. It is a beginning. It is a beginning because I just wanted all of us to get to know that, yes, laws are there. For those who didn't know, some of these things are there. And for those that knew, how we can get to address and imply the laws, who to hold accountable for, because not everything will have to run to court for it to be done. We have got implementers, and actually the legislation that really guides on this is the Persons with Disability Act, because they are the main implementers on matters that affect persons with disabilities. And in effect to that, the Persons with Disability Act came through the Persons with Disability Act, we have the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. This is now the implementing body that will get to monitor and see whether some of these things that are being talked about in our laws are being implemented or not. For example, someone asked about the matatu. For the matatu and hospitals, buildings, you as an individual, it's difficult for you to go and just shout and say, this matatu must be disability friendly. But you can hold the National Council for Persons with Disability accountable, ask them, you have been mandated to be the implementing body for us, what is happening? Because the laws are there. It is for them to get and follow up on that. And we are not giving them much pressure to do that because we don't know it. So they are okay. We don't know it, so nobody bothers because you don't know. Before I say thank you, because I'm saying it is the beginning, I can welcome questions and suggestions as well.
Can I ask what is next for the special needs people with disability? What are the government saying about the children with disability? What are they saying about what's next about them during this time of COVID?
Okay.
Yes.
During this Corona period, the Ministry of Education actually has written, actually they have a formulated policy on how learners with disability get to school. For example, like with the use of masks. However, The practicability of it, honestly, it is one thing, but they tried coming up also with masks that are transparent for the deaf. Learners who have got intellectual disability, it is difficult actually to have them on their masks on. So what actually can come, what can come in handy for them is the social distancing and encouraging, actually, if possible, parents could actually get to bring their learners to school, because most of the institutions are boarding. However, it is encouraging inclusion whereby parents can bring their learners from home to school. In that way, the more congestion in schools will reduce from their boarding, because most of the special needs schools are in boarding.
Thank you for that.
Let me read a question, a comment from Madam Anwa Sike. She says a person with disability might need a clear-cut procedure to follow in case they need legal services. It's just that we don't know. But in case you need a legal service and you can't afford it, you as a person with disability is mandated to go to the National Council for Persons with Disability, tell them you have an issue, but maybe you don't have a way to follow it up with, and they will liaise with other organizations. If they can't do it, they will liaise with other organizations that can follow up on your case. There is a mechanism. Any other question as I look at the chat?
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that the sports issue has been raised by the sports people with the disability. Like you said, they have the association, the IPPD. Is it the IPPD you said they can go to for help?
The NCPWD, National Council for Persons with Disability.
National Council for Persons with a Disability.
They are mandated, actually.
They are mandated to give legal counsel?
Yes, to refer, because they can follow up a matter in court. If you can't afford it, they're mandated to refer to a body that can do that. Yes.
Because the issue of sports that I am raising, I think, has now reached the point where I think only a judicial review can help, given that this is a 2014 implemented act, and here we are in 2021, and still the disabled sports gets left behind, gets just ignored. So I would like to know where to refer the sports, the people with a disability, to go and look for legal help.
We can do two ways. You
Can I say something about that?
Yes.
There's also Special Olympics for the disability. I have one of the numbers, Vincent.
Yes, but
I have
Special Olympics, Special Olympics, do they have the legal ability? Because what I know is that they are a sports entity. They are not a legal entity. They deal with a sport. And when you deal with sports, your co-function is sports. The issues of illegality belong to maybe what the lady talking to us now, she is from the legal end. So we need the legal, we are doing sports, but we need legal help to. So Special Olympics might even still be on in the same position with the Deaf Olympics, for instance. They deal sports, they need legal sports help.
So I was saying we can institute, actually we have two ways to go about it. Either going it on private, getting something private, and
too expensive.
Which is expensive. So the others, we have the other second way is getting to the National Council to table it out, because they have a lawyer for person with disability. So they're entitled actually to represent you in court. And in case they need an enjoinder to the matter, they'll involve the Kenya National Human Rights Commission.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Most welcome. Sorry, my
Our
internet is
moderator
on
can
and
tell us
off.
other questions.
My internet is on and off. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Somebody saying good job. That is Oscar. Is there any question? Could you share this information with the public via TV? The public needs to be educated on this. That is Marion asking. Can you share this so that it can go to the public domain for people to know? Yeah, that's what she's asking. That is from Marion. The other questions, I think they have gone when the internet went on. Maybe if you are seeing another, you can be able to read from your side. Joyce Matthew is saying, these are very enlightening. Kudos, Amina. Legal issues of persons with disability are very sensitive and very few people know what to do. Yeah, that is very true. People, they have no this information on what is to do, how to get it, where to go, and what next. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, it is true. Luckily, we have got several organizations. For example, we have like Kituo cha Sheria. I'm also a part of it. So in case you have a matter that involves disability, and maybe like you don't know how to go about it, they'll listen to you. In case it's a person who is deaf and they don't know how to do about it, they'll talk to me. So Kituo cha Sheria, we are even maendeleo ya wanawake, it helps. We have got an organization in Embu called DEFOP. It deals actually, it can listen to your issues. Then in case it needs legal redress, we can get contacted on that. Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's nice. So basically, if somebody have an issue, you can be able to ask any question there, and it is one of them. So that is also something to note. There is Anwar Sike. It says sports departments, but sports departments have a council to handle the matter in conjunction with NSBW. That is a concern is asking. And also Lois is asking about the people in the rural areas. He feels like they have no information about people with disability. And Isaac Warambo asking, is there a WhatsApp group? Maybe you can respond to that, Edie.
Okay, let me get to the issue of Anne Wasike. And maybe Madam Mary can confirm with us. Normally, we have the mechanism within the Deaf Olympics and the Special Olympics. They have their own review mechanisms, right? After it failed, so that is where you are seeking for an outside mechanism, right? Mary?
Are you speaking to me?
Yes, I was just addressing to the concern of Madam Anne. She was asking, you yourselves, don't you have your own mechanisms?
We actually, I think I can explain. My second job in, other than being a sports administrator, is being a member of the Sports Disputes Tribunal. What we do is we listen to appeals. In other words, the first step is you have your own, each constitution of each sporting federation must have its own dispute resolution mechanism, which is something they buy right from their mother organization. That is something that is there right from the international level, right from, if it is Special Olympics, from the Special Olympics International, right up to the base level. So that is a mechanism which is supposed to use for especially sports issues, sports disputes, whatever they may be. There's a whole set of, how you're supposed to go about it. When you've exhausted that mechanism, then you come over to the Sports Disputes Tribunal, which is there by the law of Kenya. So in Kenya, we've got the national mechanism where you now sort out the issue. So it's a stage, and often we have found that we are also busy educating the root level so that they stop bringing us the cases which they should have first resolved. So we are doing double work, double jeopardy, like you call it, because we listen to our own cases which should be appeals, but for the beginning of our life, we have been forced to also teach the federations that you need to also activate your own dispute mechanisms at your level, at the level before you come to us on appeal level. So it's been a hard job getting down there, trying to explain that you first sort out your way, then you come up to us. But in the meantime, when they don't have any mechanism, any way to do it, we will deal with it.
Yes.
And we have dealt with it, yes.
Yeah, it's true. That is what I was telling her. You have a mechanism. When it fails, when the judicial review fails within the system, it is when you can seek out. So there is no harm, Madam Anne, in what Mary is asking. When the in mechanism fails, when they tried it out, they have a right actually to go out.
Well, I will explain that the issue of the lack of appointment by the CS for sports, actually it's a CS for sports who appoints these positions that have now been neglected. It's been neglected giving the disabled their issues. So either, I doubt that they will bringing them to us will be of much use because the tribunal has got the level at which it handles its issues. I actually believe that this particular issue belongs to the judicial review, not even to the usual courts. It actually belongs to the judicial review, which handles with situations where now at that level where somebody really will not implement their law. So the only person who can make them implement that law is the judicial, because this is not even this is actually an issue of, it's a sports issue only because it affects the person. It is like having your slot in parliament not given to you. That is just, you're disabled, so you will follow it from the angle of you're disabled, missing your slot. So that is more or less an issue of governance, and I believe it belongs to judicial review. Sports really does try to deal with issues that are strictly sports, because appointment is not really appointing the deaf Olympics to their position. That is really governance, not really a sports issue.
True. Stellah?
Thank you, Mary. Thank you so much. That is so elaborate. The same concern, I think you addressed it, what Oscar's asked. So because it's asking on the issue of sports, and I think you've responded to that. There's Isaac who is asking about the WhatsApp group, and maybe you can respond if there's a WhatsApp group where you can join. And yeah, those are the questions.
Share the link to join the group. You're very welcome to join us, Isaac.
I think those are the questions which have been asked. We are almost coming to the end of this today's session. So, and Ida, I can say you've done a very good job on enlightening us about law and people with disability. I'm sure many people didn't know what is about the law and how they can access the information, what they can do. But I know now some people have information. All of us have some information about what we have discussed this evening. Thank you so much. I think if anything else, maybe, Edie, from your side?
No, actually for me, what I want to say is the end of my slide was, this is the beginning and not the end. So if given a chance and an opportunity, I would like actually to get in depth on the various laws specifically, and I would like to be biased to the first law on sexual health, on the Sexual Act actually in Kenya, and how actually it's accessible. I'll dwell on accessibility to persons with disability. So if I'm given a chance, for me, actually, I give what is there, the critic, and what can be done about it. So thank you so much for listening to me. If given a chance, we'll get to hear more. And actually, this conversation has been made possible by AIDA Africa through various platforms. I really appreciate, I'm grateful. Thank you for listening to me. I feel like this world that I grew up in is going to be bigger and bigger. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Wow, thank you so much. Actually, we are the people to say thank you because we have learned a lot from you. Much of the information has come from you. Thank you so much. And if everyone can have that yearning, that to know more, to learn more, what we can do, what we can also do instead of finding information, how to help, it will be in a better place. So I think thank you so much, guys, for listening. So I'm so sorry for my internet, which was on and off, but we thank God that we have come to the end of this session. So if we don't have anything, thank you, Aurelia. Thank you for Aid Africa, which has given us this platform to learn and learn more. And thank you for the many things which are happening there. For those people who are not in the group, you can see the link down there. You can join our group. We have so many. We learn a lot. Join us and learn with us. So for me, I say thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be a moderator of this session this evening. So back to you, Joy. Thank you for our sign language interpreter. You've done a very good job. It's a very good job. Mary Kimani, thank you so much for your input in this group. Guys, thank you, and God bless you so much. Back to you, Joy.
Thank you so much. Can we have a group photo? Can you please switch on your audios? Then we have a photo together. I mean, sorry, not your audios, your video. Everyone, please, your video on.
Turn your videos, guys, so that we can take a group.
Yes, let's take a photo together. Raymond, are you able to take a photo of everyone on gallery view? Please unmute yourself. I cannot hear you. All right. Thank you so much, Raymond.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. We are finished. And God bless you so much. Thank you. Edie, thank you. I'm also in this group of years of sign language. That is what I did in my dissertation. Thank you.
Stellah. Yes,
thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Night. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night. So, Raymond, if you finish taking, I'll end the meeting. Let me know. Please unmute yourself. Raymond, have you taken the photo? All right. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Good night.